Doing some more artwork for the Bizarchives. So just getting set up a bit here. Using my phone, so should not have too much trouble with technical junk. Anyway, let's have a quick look at this piece here. This is a story about a space trucker who goes crazy from being alone in space too long. So now the piece is vertical, like so. Although, like, if you look at it like this, it kind of, in a sense, makes more sense, right? That would be the normal way that you would look at the piece, right? If you were in this place. But it's in space, and so there's no up or down. And so I thought I would tilt the camera angle to make it look more kind of discombobulating, you know, that to give it, I guess, a sense of unease, you know. So, like, in a sense, I'm driving the viewer crazy also, you know, just by looking at it at this kind of skewed angle, you know. Now, this piece is quite different from the other ones that I've done in that it's very, very technical. There's a lot of, you know, using a lot of different kinds of rulers and such to get these mechanical parts here. You've got, I'll zoom in a bit and see if this works or not, how the lighting is, but I have these kind of like space trucks, you know, because to give an idea of what, you know, where the dude is, you know, like he's probably a trucker too, rather he is a trucker too, and so these are these kind of space trucks and blah, blah, blah. You get the general idea. So this will be for Bizarchives 2, published by the mighty Dave Martell. So this is a different kind of work. You know, when you're doing all this sort of spaceships and space stations and all the gadgetry, what have you, the inside of the ship and whatnot. It's a different type of fantasy, right? It's sort of more sci-fi, and it offers me a wider range of designs to play with and have fun with. I'm a massive sci-fi fan myself. Horror, sci-fi, adventure. I mean, you know, who doesn't like all this stuff, you know? Anyway, just gonna kind of cruise along here. I have to say, I think maybe it's a little more tedious than the other kind of art, and only in that I have to use a lot of rulers and I have to take a lot of time to sort of carefully go about making the technology look real, and especially that it's got to fit into perspective drawing. You know, perspective drawing is just what it sounds like. It's what creates the illusion of space. You know, something closer to you is larger, something far away is smaller, da 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 da. So that's how the pros do it. When you're in, you know, any kind of illustration, especially comic book illustration, you have to really know your perspective drawing. It takes a long time. I've practiced a lot, you know, done a lot of drawings of cities, you know, from different angles. Think about a Spider-Man comic book and having to draw the New York City from all these points of view, you know, from say up in the sky, etc. You know, it's hard. It's quite detailed. It really tests your metal, if you will. You know, a little heavy metal pun there, I guess. But all right. So I guess you guys can see what's going on. And I thank you for joining me on this. It's, working alone in the studio is just that. It's working alone in the studio. You're doing your stuff, and you're not normally talking to people, right? But it's cool when people come along for the ride. I really don't know. It seems like the people who come to the show really enjoy it a lot. Um, I'm always afraid that it's not like entertaining enough, or that I'm not engaging the audience enough. As you know, I host a bunch of shows, and yeah, I take care to do shows that I think are good, that are engaging, and you know, uh, in a sense, professional in some way. Question strategies, knowing how to balance an interview, or if you have several guests, and so as they say, like passing the mic, making sure. But not only that, asking the right questions, probing questions. Of course, a lot of the time you'll have questions prepared beforehand. So, I don't like my guests to feel like, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm getting into, that kind of thing. Give them some sense of confidence. So, designing these space trucks was kind of fun. I thought, it's fun to design spaceships, and I've been doing that since I was a kid. If you're into drawing and all that as a kid, it's just one of those fun things to do. But here you have a theme, and think of it like as if you were working for a movie company of some kind. What would they, okay, we have to have this. This is the theme. Blah 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 blah. Make it work. Make it go. Like imagine the people that designed for, say, Star Wars. And all the spaceships that they have to create, and all the bits and pieces on each one of those ships. It's for me, it's fun. It's challenging. Um, but at the same time, I think you always think, oh, could it be better? What more could I do? Is it cheesy? Is it retro? Does it work? Is it, all those kinds of things. I take a quick look at the chat, see if anybody's here, if I'm talking to myself. All right, couple people here. We got my buddy Simon is here. Great to see you, Simon. Hope it's not too late over there across the pond. I'm trying to, let's see. Let's go. That's a good one. Having trouble seeing the chat, though. That's crap. Because I'm working on my phone, and it keeps giving me this pop-up. Chat viewing options, top chat. Let's do that. All right, we got a bunch of folks here. We got Formalin. Welcome, Formalin. I don't know. Have you watched my show before, Formalin? My old buddy Nullis. Always good to see you, bro. M14. Let's go. Awesome. It's great to have you guys with me here. All right, so let's get back to work. So yeah, I'm gonna jump around from this to that. I'll tell you what. Sometimes you get sick of doing all these like tiny little micro pen surgeries and stuff like that, and you feel like, you know what? I want to work with a brush. I want to do something kind of chunky, and have a little more fun with it. So here he's got a kind of like an oxygen mask. And the tubing for the mask, I want it to have a sort of a look like there'd be some kind of wiring in it. It looks a little, it's got a retro sort of flavor to it, but not too much so. I don't know. I guess I just have my own design sense. It's hard to say what that is exactly when you're sort of so close to it. But all these sort of how do I call them? Like different values, like the shapes and the line weights and this kind of thing. They all sort of add up to make for a fascinating and convincing world in and of itself. You know, when you think about what would Star Wars be without all the gadgets and robots and sort of whatever, all the designs that they have. In so many ways, it's kind of like, you know, more than 50% of what sci-fi is cool environments and cool designs. For me, Prometheus is one of the greatest sort of, how do I put this? Like the design of the film is one of the greatest as far as like my own taste goes and that kind of thing. Um, there's a movie called Oblivion with Tom Cruise that is exquisitely beautiful. I actually saw a kind of, I don't know what to call it, like a DVD special features thing where the guy who designed it, he does digital painting, and he came up with the concept of it, but before writing the script, he designed all of the sets, for every scene in the movie, and then kind of put that together in a sort of a book-like package. And before even sort of having finished it, he presented it, and Tom Cruise saw the artwork, and he was so in love with it that he said, "I'll do this. I will do this film." And then if you got Tom Cruise saying, "I'll do your film," then everybody else is gonna get in line. That's, I think, kind of cool. All right, let's see. I don't have the thing I need. I guess I'll just forego that. Wait a second. No. Another kind of interesting trick is how to make things read from a distance. You know that things that are in the distance, that they're not as clear as say up close, right? So here I'm doing like the grill on this space truck, and it doesn't have to be super detailed, right? Because it's far away. You notice how I'm using the ruler here. It kind of gives me a sense of where things need to be. They have to be aligned. It's funny, the thing about art is that if there's one thing wrong with a piece, your eye will hone right in on it, and in a sense ignore the rest of the piece, and you're gonna kind of feel like, oh well, that's not such a great piece because it's got that one thing wrong with it. So there's no mercy, in terms of like the art world, and like what we do and something. You have to get every single part of it right. I guess it'd be kind of like if you were listening to a band and one of the instruments was out of tune. You couldn't not hear that. It would stand out a lot and just be sort of annoying. So I got a cool new commission coming up. I won't say exactly what it's for, but I'll say who it is for. Full Moon Ancestry, our buddy in Europe. He has got something coming out, and as I said, I won't spoil it, but I'm doing the cover for that project, so that's pretty cool. I love doing work for the people in our sphere. I feel very, how do I say, like being able to serve you guys is an important thing. I feel that there's it's just for me it melds together the things that matter to me. I get to be a part of our community and kind of have a lasting stamp on the media that we create. You see, so that's an honor. you know. Okay. So what you see in the background here would be the planet, right? Like this would be kind of, let's say, I don't know if it's planet Earth. I haven't read this story, but I know he's a space trucker and there's a space station in this story. So I thought, well, how do you show a space station but to have it orbiting a planet, right? So in a sense, what I'm doing here is I'm using these kind of stippling points here to create a little bit of a fade from, say, the upper atmosphere into space, and then it kind of gets, of course, dark after that. So this is just a little type of device here, but then how do I make it look like a planet? So it's on a very broad curve, and a lot of times what you see is sort of clouds swirling about in these type of environments. You have to be very delicate in the way that you portray that. You're not going to use real heavy lines, right? I've been contemplating a lot just about how much information I want to put on the ship. I mean, like, sort of surface details, like, it isn't, it's from a distance. It's supposed to look enormous, so I can't really show, like, the nuts and bolts, right? It has to have a sense of its own texture from space, I guess, if that makes sense. But little things like lights and windows, they kind of help to bring that sense of what it is together. And I'm still deciding on the light source. Like, where do I want the light source on this piece? I'm gonna check the chat for a second here. See what we got. Top chat. Poggers in the chat. Artabach is here. Welcome. Hey there. Big Dave's here. Good to have you. Yeah, full moon ancestry, man. That's gonna be awesome. Bizarchives, hail. Um, all's great. Chillaxing with Mr. Donald Gethard. Very nice. Chillaxing. I've not heard that word in a long time. Oblivion has one of the best OSTs of all time. What does OST stand for? Formalin, yes, Donald, your art is